European policy relation with the EU. And after this presidential experience, you certainly will give us an idea closer to what the layman is doing now.
Thank you very much. Indeed, I do have a difficult task of coming after President Obama, so bear with me. I heard a number of uncertainties from previous speakers as to definitions. So without sounding too grandiose for this audience just before lunch, I guess I can't help but think that when we talk about the IoT effectively, we're talking about what the world will look and feel like in the near to moderately distant future. We are talking about a world where we'll move from PCs 10 years ago to mobile computing now, where we access the internet basically and preferably through smartphones and tablets, to a world where things will be connected to one another, to the web, and to us. And that the interesting thing is that that will feel as natural as tapping on an app icon on your mobile device right now. So you can call it a number of different ways. So for the industrial part, for manufacturing, for logistics, you can call it Industry 4.0. In terms of connectivity, the different flavors of the IoT will be part and parcel of 5G. And again, the idea of 5G really explains that the experience of what it will feel like for us people will be seamless, because this is indeed the idea behind 5G. So we're starting to see that in a number of fields. We've seen presentations here today to discuss a field that I deal with daily because of my job. We just heard the example about healthcare. Healthcare is really one of the interesting societal challenges that the IoT will likely help to solve. We're starting to see, it's a very slow process, but we're starting to see healthcare systems, particularly in the developed world, already reacting to the concept of integrated care. So we see forms of telemonitoring, remote monitoring, and data analytics that are starting to be applied. But the real way in which this will actually change healthcare delivery and social care, we haven't really seen that yet. But it's one of the interesting areas where we'll see mobile connectivity and big data deliver value for both industry and society more at large. So to make the experience in the end seamless and natural to us, there's a number of things that need to happen first. So certainly I would go back to the idea of connectivity again. There's a great deal that needs to be done in terms of harmonizing spectrum, and I would agree with my colleague from Elisa that we're in a good place. But you know, future needs will require us to evolve even further from that. So we're not in a bad place there. Certainly, we'll need to continue to develop existing standards. And we'll need to create new standards for the various connectivity needs that things will have. And certainly we'll continue to invest in networks because the networks that we have right now may be sufficiently deployed and sufficiently diverse to cater for our needs right now. But we'll need to cater for extreme variation service requirements for the different things that will be connected. So that applies to both the standards and the networks that are based on those technologies. One other very important point is of course you know, security, which is high on the list in terms of attention from the public and from policymakers. There's the obvious challenge that is often mentioned that, you know, how do you make sure that you get user consent when you're using a device that does not even have a screen to show you an app that you can tap on? That's one of the obvious challenges. And these devices will need to collect data, sometimes about you, sometimes not necessarily directly about you. We'll need to access data from you, from your smart device, and how do you manage that transition from one device to another? That's a very interesting question. But we can't necessarily look at it from a purely legal standpoint, because that is important. It's privacy as data protection is a fundamental right, at least here in Europe and a number of other geographies. I was again struck by the presentation from Seki-san, which I thought was extremely comprehensive. So there's a sensitivity that's there, not just in Europe, but in other parts of the world toward privacy and data protection. But legally, looking at these things will not necessarily solve the issue. We need to look at technology. What are the different technology options to make the experience again natural for us? And that means both intuitive and meaningful. Because at the end of the day, we're discussing a number of industrial processes, but at the end of the day, what it means for the end user is that it will be delivering value for the user, for us. It will be user-centric on many levels. So the IoT effectively will make our everyday lives easier. We'll be able to access a range of personalized services again. But we need to know that we are in control of the services. We were in control of the transition and how my data is created and is accessed by the different services. And again, I guess the issue of ownership, there's a lot of discussion about the term. Legally speaking, again, it might not be the right term, but again, the concept behind it is that you understand what's going on and you feel a certain amount of confidence and trust with what's going on. And trust is very important in terms of again, the other aspect of privacy, which is closely interlinked and oftentimes confused with privacy, which is security. So it's hard to talk about one without the other. And I guess we're already starting to see signs of what it will mean and the challenges and the possible solutions already in the mobile space. We're seeing smartphones becoming increasingly smart and smarter. So in the mobile computing arena, we're already seeing a lot of solutions. So if you think about the interactions that your mobile devices have with other devices, with the things and the infrastructure already that they have around us, stores, for example, you're already seeing how you as a person and your different devices are already connected to one another and to the infrastructure. So these things, starting with our devices, with our smartphones, we'll be able to understand who's and what's around us, what we need from the things that are around us. They'll be able to anticipate our needs in an increasingly secure way, in a way that gives us what we want in a timely manner. But obviously, the challenge around that is that as we increase the amount of things that our devices, be it a smartphone or the other things that will be connected, these things know things about us, and how do we make sure that they're able to access and create the information in a way that is not oblivious to us. So right now, just if we look at what we're doing at Qualcomm, there's a number of very important security solutions that we're developing to create the experience, to create more robustness and convenience around that experience. So that is about seamless authentication, preemptive protection for malicious attacks, and broadly speaking, these things, the end goal is to enhance user privacy. And looking at this from this European standpoint, I guess we live in a very interesting time politically because we have obviously the new commission, and we live at a time where a number of communication consultations have been launched around the digital single market. And I guess the fact that we have so many consultations about what's needed for the digital single market, again, a big part of which will be the IoT, is the fact that, a reason for that is that we have, this thing is so complicated and there are so many interactions with not just technology but policy areas that we really need to think about how best do we do it in terms of policy initiatives. And so I don't work for the Commission, but I would encourage you all to take a look at the consultations and different policy and legal aspects associated with that, and decide for yourselves, what do you need from the IoT? How can the IoT be user-centric for you and deliver value for you. And I guess, going forward into next year, we're very interested to see what will happen and to contribute to that. But again, from a technology perspective, which is what we do back in our headquarters and in our research centers around the globe, but also from a policy standpoint, because I'm based in Brussels and I do policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. I have now to open the floor to Marianne Cimino, and she is a consultant with a large organization working and developing breeding in France. We talked about the Internet of Things, and now we will have some hints on the interaction between the Internet and the animals. Maybe not our petty animals, but certainly some of the animals we need to feed. So please, Marianne, give us those hints to understand what is the prolongation to the living animal of the Internet of Things. Thank you.
Thank you. It's true, I have to apologize first in advance because I will present something very concrete, and I will talk about connectivity on the field, and it's not an image. I'm talking of fields and of rural areas, and sometimes it's important to come back to Earth, and I will explain this question of connectivity in farms, in terms of internet and in terms of mobile coverage. And I will report to you on a survey that we conduct to measure the effectiveness of connectivity in rural area. And in fact, it was in the west part of France, in regions that are well known to be well equipped by telecom facilities. And you will see that the results are speaking by themselves, and we are far to be able to use all the services that we need, and especially in a rural area. And to explain this survey, I have to also give you some features about the sector of agriculture. This is a sector which is moving a lot because there is economical and structural environment change. There's the end of quotas, milk quotas and so on. We have also expansion of farms and concentration of all the small farms in bigger facilities. And we have also the decrease of salaried work. And also we have new societal challenge. The consumers are more and more demanding in terms of our environment and quality of products. Also animal welfare is important also. And also the quality of products, yes. And there is also the development of what we call precision agriculture with a lot of sensors and automatisms. And this means that there is really need on the field with new connectivity facilities. So I know that you are hungry, but I have to give you some examples of what are big data for this sector. And in English we said from farm to fork. In French we said de la fourche à la fourchette, which means that there is a total data channel between the producers and the consumers. And this sector is used to produce a lot of data. At the beginning it was mainly financial and management of the farm's data. And more we have more technical and environmental and also genetics, animal genetics produce a lot of data in this sector. And also now include the consumer trends. Do people want to eat meat, or they want to consume milk, or they want to consume other kind of products? And it's important in the big data analysis to have this kind of entrance in the data channel. And as for Airbus, we have a difficulty to have this world data channel because it's really fragmented between the different producers. Concerning the survey, we made a qualitative survey. We go visiting some farms in west of France. I said France, but I think this can be duplicated in every country and everywhere there is rural area. You know, rural area represent mainly 40% of the lands in the world. And in terms of population, it represents 50% of the populations of the world. And most in the poor areas, we have it can grow to 70%. So the rural area are an important place we have to consider. We do also some connectivity tests to evaluate if we are able to send SMS or to make a call or to have access to internet services from the box near the farm, but also in the different buildings of the farms. And then we made a quantitative survey, and I will explain more on this. This survey was quite large. We get near 800 answers. So this survey was a collaborative work between Orange, which is a telecom company, I imagine you know it, and with Evolution, who is a cooperative mainly dedicated to genetic animals. They are producing artificial insemination and also some sensors to monitor the calving, monitor the heat of the animals. And the French Livestock Institute, which is RID Agricultural Institute. So we made a questionnaire with a lot of questions, mainly on the breeder himself and his livestock. The connected equipment he gets in order to have to get some data from the field, and also his telecom equipment. We ask them how they practice the use of this telecom equipment, if they are satisfied or not with the connectivity, and what kind of evolution they envisage for the future. So, I'm sorry because the graph are not visible, but what we can say here, the right figure concerns robots for milking. You know, it's a big engine when the cow enter on a voluntary base in order to have the milking process. And 13% of requested farmers are equipped. It's a very big engine and it costs a lot to equip the farm with this kind of material. The blue figures said about automatisms, like dispenser of food, automatic dispensers or automatic weighing machine. And 1/3 of the requested farmers are equipped with this kind of automatisms. In brown, let's say, we have what we call embedded sensors, like heat monitoring or calving monitoring or rumination monitoring in order to know if the cow is in good condition. 1/3 also of farmers are equipped with one of these captors, so it's not few. And the last figures concerns fixed sensors. That means milk meter or camera, you know, the camera to survey the cattle in a building or where we want. And also milk composition systems. So here again, 1/3 of farmers are equipped with one of these tools. So Internet of Things in this sector is not a dream, it's a reality. And 67% are equipped with at least one of these connected tools. And if we consider larger cattle, it can grow nearly 90%. Here it's figures regarding the telecom equipment. So 88% of the farmers are equipped with a computer. there are 47% equipped by a laptop and pocket PC, but it remains. And also in terms of phone, they are equipped by classic phones for 61% of them, and 50% have smartphones, and 25% are equipped by a tablet. Okay, and if we can show the results of their satisfaction regarding the connectivity, we can say that half of them are not really satisfied by the connectivity level in terms of mobile or in terms of internet. I don't want to go deeply in this because it's not really colored for you, but we have divided these different answers in different categories in order to know better what is the market. Mainly we can say that half of people who were requested are not interested in connectivity. They don't want more connected tools, they don't want to invest. But we can say also that half of them are really wanting to invest and to be equipped with more captors and more services. And it's a pity because we don't see anything. But here, in fact, you will have a PowerPoint in the website of the Global Forum. Let's say that the most interested breeders are the ones who have middle and to big herds, who are very well equipped today, but they want to invest more because it's for the quality of working life. It's for also to invest in their farms. They think it's important for them to be equipped with more robots, with drones, with captors, sensors everywhere. And it's important to say that for telecom companies or for public collectivities, it's important to consider these rural areas because it's a source of new services and new data that are very interesting, and not only for agriculture, but also for education, for instance. If we want to attract new farmers, young farmers, we need to have solutions for their children. We need also to have solutions for the health of their parents. And we need to have solutions for the tourists, because the tourists, when they are going to a rural farm, they need internet. Nobody wants to go in a desert without connectivity. So that is the major part of my presentation.